Okay, so here's the scramble. I use the white top, green front orientation, and I start tracing with the corners. Then I do wings, accenters, plus centers, and then audio for midges. And the execution will just be the inverse of that. So starting corner tracing, the buffer is in its position. So we go B, H, D, O, K, R, N, G, U. There's a twist here. So there's parity. Then wings is just H, B, because this is actually the buffer, but we do UF-UR swap. So HB, D, I, again because of the UF-UR swap. E, L, T, G, N, and this goes to the buffer now. So we'll just go A, and A, W, U, S, O, M, K, J, X, A, and now we're back at A. So we haven't had Q yet, so we'll go AQ, P, F, V, R, and then Q parity. This R goes to Q. Then the accenters. So this is my buffer, and it's solved, so I'll just go to B, B, M, F, Q, G, C, I, N, U, R, K, no, J, we haven't had J yet, so J, V, S, K, and W, O, and then X, D, T should do. So T is parity target again, so you can just do TB or something. And then this is my buffer for the plus centers. So that goes to Q, M, A, E, I, R, and then J, U, F, V, N, L, O, H, C, W, B, X, T, and again the T is parity. Then lastly the midges, and this one is solved, so but it's UF-UR swap again, so it goes here to B. We have B, D, B, and then I guess BK is a good com, so we can do that. BK, O, A, F, R, X, S, T, U, and that's the memo. So then the exact order is just the reverse of that. So we start with the midges, BD, and for midges on 5 blind, I just do intuitive comms. So I guess you can just imitate the wing comms. So here they should work. Essentially what you're doing is you're moving these two down. So now they're here. And then the D target, you're moving that over here. So now it's just this one to here. So that's the KJ elk. And then undo. Then we have PK, which you can do very intuitively like that. Just an 8 mover. OA, which is also an 8 mover. And then this is FR, for which I probably rotate to get this 8 mover. I don't really like doing it like this, it's a bit awkward. But it's also possible, I guess. And then XS, which is just the U setup into this 8 mover. And then lastly TU, which is also in this case a U prime set up into an 8 mover. Okay, so that's midges. Then plus centers. So the first out was QM, which yeah, that's just very simple 8 move alg. Then AE, which is also very intuitive. IR, where the buffer and R have an interchange like this, and then you just do this. JU, where you can do a U move, and now the buffer and U have an interchange. This goes to U, so you do this. Oh. Then FV, I usually do an R wide setup into an 8 mover where these two have an interchange. So that would look like this. And then for undoing the setup, you can kind of cancel like this. Then for NL, you can do an 3 RY prime into ML. You can also do R prime or just RY prime, but I'd like to do 3 RY prime, so you can do these two moves simultaneously. And then with white moves, you can kind of insert this here, like this. And then you undo everything. So now N and L are solved. Then we have OH. So I would probably just rotate into a very intuitive 8 mover. Or no, not an 8 mover. You have to do U as well. And now it's an 8 mover. Because you can just, the H is back here now. And that interchanges like that. Inserts. And the U2 kind of cancels at the end. C, W, you do L wide, and then it's just like that. B, X, you can rotate again, and do a U prime, and then just intuitive 8 mover again. And then for the last target, it's just T. I would probably add an A to it. B and C work fine, but I think this is easiest. Rotate and do a U2. So now you have this. That solves it. Then for X centers, B, M. Very intuitive commutator as well. FQ, you can have 2 algs to choose from. So you can do an L prime into EQ. Or an R right prime, and now it's FC, which is kind of a 9 mover, and then R right to undo the setup. And I generally prefer the last alg, so that's probably what I would do. GC is just an 8 mover with an interchange on U. IN, similar to the NL alg we did earlier, you have a white move insertion of N to the buffer, so that goes like this. And then you can just finish the commutator like that. UR, again, I think I have 2 algs that are viable. You can do this sort of thing into UJ, or a DR wide into this, which is what I do most of the time. JV, just do a D prime, and then you have an 8 mover. It is also an 8 mover, but you'd have to rotate to make it worth doing. And I think it's just better to do a D prime into JU. Then SK, many people just go with the D2 interchange. I can't find good ways to finger trick that. So I just do an F prime, and then it's SJ, like that. And then you just do an F to undo the setup. And we have WO, which is just a small R, and then an 8 mover. XD, you can do this, and then finish like that. And the T as a last target again, just like on plus centers, and the concept is the same, just rotate into a commutator. Then the wing execution. So the first out is HB, for which I would like to rotate. You can also do this. I find it very difficult to do that. So I just rotate and do this. Rotate back. DI. And you can go LYU, creating an elk where these two are down here and that one is up here. The buffer is now here, so these two have an interchange on the L. You can insert this to the buffer like that, and then you just finish it like that. EL is an F move, or an F prime actually, and now these two have an interchange, and the L target is now down here, so you can go this and F to undo the setup. TG, you just do a D move, and now it's TK, which is a very basic algorithm. And A we chose to cycle break to, so that's either this, or what I also like to do sometimes is, I'll just undo it real quick, is you do an R, and then it's OA, which you can do like that, which is also pretty fast. WU, I rotate and take U out like that. Now use over here, and you can do this cycle. Undo and rotate back. SO, I generally just insert the buffer into the back like this, and then do a D interchange. There are other good outs too, but this is what I do most of the time. MK, so that would just be this sort of thing where you do R wide and a small R simultaneously. But this alg is very common in 3-blind as well, so yeah, pretty basic. JX is just D prime into JW. And we have A, and we chose to go to Q. So I split A and Q up and then do F prime. So Q is now here. So you can insert A into Q, moving Q over, and then just undo everything. PF, I often rotate and then do the F move to have an interchange of the buffer and P. The F is now here. You can also do L and then rotate, but for some reason I don't do that as often. And then the out is just very easy. Rotate back. VR, just like on JX, it's kind of a mirror to that sort of. So it's a D and then just that. And then, oh, I did the wrong order. Okay, and then Q parity on wings. So that's just an out. Make sure to not forget this M at the end, which you don't need to do on 4-blind, but on 5-blind it is necessary. And then just corners. BH was the first one. DO. KR, which is a D move into OR. And NG. And then U parity. So then the cube is solved. For U parity on big cubes, I remember DNFing 4-blind by doing it like this accidentally, and then inserting another F2 before doing the U, which costs the DNF. And so I don't do the out as often for line anymore, and I like to just do UB and then a J firm. But I guess that is slower, so you should probably not do that. So yeah, that's it.
5-line example solved, starting from now. Just for various information, here are my buffers, memo order, execution order, and stuff. So first thing is to reorient the cube. This is not, well, my orientation is white top, green front, so I'm going to start from that position to reorient, obviously, and start tracing corners from there on. So UFL is my buffer. It's not solved, it's not twisted, so I'm going to start tracing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I can see one twist here and another twist there, which means I have, in that situation, what I would do is noticing that these pieces are, let's say, pseudo-solved. They should be in UL, but they are in UR. I can kind of memorize that these ones are solved and kind of set up to an F-perm for corner midge parity at the end. So the consequence of that is I'm going to trace from wherever, but I'm going to memorize these pieces solved and this block and this block and this block being swapped during memo, and then during exec I'll just do whatever just to solve that. So that's what I wrote down here: UFL buffer, UL/UR swap, midges and wings. Right, so starting midge tracing, not from UF because it's solved, not from UR because it's solved, so from UB, more specifically from BU, which is my buffer sticker. So target number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is the buffer piece but not the buffer sticker. 7, I'm going to shoot to here because why not? 8, 9, because you have to remember the UL/UR swap. So 8, 9, and 10. That's 10 midge targets, which is obviously fine because I'm always expecting an even number for midges thanks to the swap. So then I'm going to start tracing wings from FUR, which is my main starting point, main buffer. So first target here is already the buffer piece, so I'm going to shoot to here because it's not solved and it's a very easy com to execute, and I'm never going to forget that, I think, hopefully. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This doesn't go here, but it goes there because of the UL/UR swap again. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, and I'm back to that piece, which is the one I was cycle breaking from. So that's 12 targets from FUR buffer. So in that scenario, I would start tracing from this buffer, which is LUF, which is just a U prime into normal comms for me, which is decent. So starting tracing from here for the second set is going to be first target here because of the swap again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the buffer piece. So I'm going to shoot to here because I haven't haven't solved that piece yet. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. I'm back to that piece. So remember, I had 12 targets from this buffer and 11 from here, which means 23 overall. And given the fact that this piece is solved already in the scramble, well, pseudo-solved, I know I'm done with wing tracing. So I can just go on with center tracing, starting from not UBL because it's solved, but from a second buffer, which is here, UFL. So first targets, I'm going to avoid the white stickers, the white center pieces so far, as much as I can. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ah, shit. It's a white sticker. Okay, 6 targets is fine for that one. That means after the 3 algs, these 2 will be solved. So I'm gonna continue tracing from this buffer. I do usually this. So from this buffer, first target is here, second is here, third is here, number 4, number 5, and number 6. Again, I'm on a white sticker again, so that means I have to either cycle break or just choose another buffer, which is going to be that one in that case. So first target from there is here, second, third, and fourth. So I have 3 buffers in this solution. This one, 6 targets, this one, 6 targets, this one, 4 targets. Usually what I would do now is review everything. Now I'm just going to drink a bit. And I'm not going to review everything because you'll see during exec if I'm making mistakes, but anyways, I'm going to start memoing plus centers from there on. From UB, usually my order is UB, and if needed, UL, UR, UF for some reason, but maybe that will change in the future. Anyways, first cycle from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I'm done with this buffer because I've already shot to here and here, so 12 from UB buffer. I'm gonna memo then from this, and there's only one sticker left, one center left actually, on the B face, on the blue face, which is this one. So I'm just gonna memorize visually 2 swap, and then from here, visually, I'm gonna memo here, that goes to here, that goes to the remaining sticker, the remaining piece on the right red face, which is this one, RU. So I said 12 here, 2 swap, and then just 1 cycle here from UF. So after memo, I'm going to start putting the blindfold on and solving with, obviously, first off the floating cycle here, then the 2 swap, and then the rest from UB. So floating cycle, a lot of solutions possible from there, but the easiest one would be rotate. Here I can see that if I do U2, these 2 are becoming interchangeable, so I'm going to solve like this. If you need to rewatch that, no worries, take your time. Buffer is solved, then I have this kind of 2 swap, so I can either do the fast 2 swap using that this piece is solved, or I can just do the classic 8 mover using that buffer, which is already solved, just because I did it before, and then going on the rest of plus center solving. So first cycle here, 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 like that. That actually cancels into the first move of the 8 mover. Second com, here, 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 very easy. L prime setup to stand com. Then here to here to here, 8 mover, pretty straightforward. Then here to here to here. Usually what I would do is kind of shit, just R prime, then rotate 8 mover, F or regrip R, doesn't matter, I'm bad. Then here to here to here, easy in class. Then here to here to here, easy, R, set up into the obvious com, and then here to here to here, rotate 8 mover. Pretty easy, right? I'm back and X centers are solved. Then I'm going to solve, plus centers are solved. Now I'm going to solve X centers from this buffer again. I'm going to not retrace, but just do it on the fly with you. So first cycle here, here, here. In that case, I would probably do U2 regrip into Niklas. Then here to here to here. R into that con. Right. Third, and I know that's the last one because I had 6 targets. Third, here to here to here, because that's what I did in memo. It could have been optimized probably, but that's fine. Then starting execution from that buffer, UBR 1, 2. So a couple of options are good in that case. Either this into new class, which cancels, or some kind of U prime D R to have this cycle. Okay, next. Here to here to here, fairly easy. LG2L prime setup into the obvious E2 interchange, oh well, U2, sorry. Then here to here to here, which is the final target for that buffer before I jump on the next one. So D prime into Niklas, pretty easy. Then here into there, into there. I would probably do F setup into, again, Niklas, because that's very decent. And then here to here to here. I would probably, two options, either U D prime, R to set up to this, or rotation and D, which is equivalent to this. And probably rotation and D, and then another Niklas. Okay, centers are done. I'm gonna go on with corners now, I think. So first cycle, very obvious 8 mover. Second cycle, which is this case, this OLL. So you can either do like that, as everyone would, or you can do as I would do, which is U, this, because I like it better. There's no Y move on a big cube. I don't like it that much. So in the end, my goal is to set up to an F firm. So I will shoot to the expected target, and then one of these, one of the ones involved in the twist, then the second one to this, to there, and finally I'll leave the parity for the end. So I think I would probably just do the 8 mover like that, and then I'm done. I'm just left with this com, which is for me D R setup, DR prime setup. And here are my swapped corners. Again, this is swapped. This is good. This is really good for me. Anyways, I'm just going to solve midges from there on because that's what I memorize. Second, right after corners. So from this buffer here to here to here. I would probably do that. Then 3 and 4, very easy. 8 mover. 5, 6, few options, but what I would do on a big cube especially would be U prime, R prime, U into 4 mover. Then that one goes to that one, goes to that one. I would probably do D prime, and then some kind of M2 stuff to solve this and cycle break into here. And finally, I'm done with, I'm almost done with midges with this to there, which is just an 8 mover rotation. It's probably a bad thing, but I didn't want to do U2 setup to UFCOM, FUCOM. Anyways, wings. not midges. Midges are done with these two swap. So wings. Starting from my main buffer, FUR again. So here, my cycle break choice was here, because that's a pretty decent calm. Second, here to here to here. It's a very wild one, I think. So it's a setup to an 8 mover with R2. So D prime, R, D prime, like that. Next cycle, here to here to here. A few options, either rotation and 8 mover at the front, or no rotation and 8 mover at the back with L, U2, L prime, L prime. I don't know what I would do in that case. Then here to here to here, wide R prime, U2 set up to, which means here to here to here. Pretty straightforward. This is really good looking, right? Next, here to here to here, 8 mover, obvious. No need to go further on that. Here to here to here, which will be the final cycle from the FUR buffer. For this, I have a few options, which are all kind of bad, but either D setup to this to this to this, or D prime setup to this to this to this. I think I'm more used to setuping to this case. So that's what I would do, D prime, weird alg that I can explain later. And I'm done with the wings from FUR. So I'm gonna then do here, I'm gonna set it up at the front. So first target is here and second is here, but remember I memoed them from the side, but I have to keep in the back of my mind that when I do the U prime setup to set it up to FUR, the ULB target will become UFL, sorry. So anyways, set up to this com, just pretty simple L2 setup, which puts the U1 on the bottom face, on the D face, like that. Then this goes there, goes there. I'm just gonna use a D setup for the obvious 8 mover. Then remember, I was tracing from here and I was left with this target, which is the buffer sticker, the buffer piece actually, and I wanted to cycle break to here, except I didn't realize at that point that here would be on the left, on the UL, on the UL position, yes. So that's kind of bad, because I might have done a mistake at that point. Instead of solving the thing, I might have gone rushing into the 8 mover like that, like I would do it for this. So hopefully not, but maybe I would. So anyways, here I would probably just rotate and do the advanced R2 thing, which is not great, but that's decent, I think. Not for me at least. I'm not that great. Then here to here to here, I like that com. R2 setup to, sorry, R2 U prime setup to an 8 mover. Then this to here, just D setup to an R2 alg. And then I'm done with the final target. So for that one, I don't want to learn a specific parity algorithm yet. So I would just shoot to there and then here to leave me with the best parity alg ever invented on Earth, I think. Like that. This goes at the back and vice versa. So the alg goes like this. Regrip. I know that's kind of bad, but that's what I'm used to. And then here, I'm supposed to do U into U prime F prime, so I would probably just cancel into F prime, finish with the U, and done.
So a few basic info before we begin. My orientation is white top, green front. My buffers are UFR for corners, UFR for wings, UF for midges, UF for plus centers, and UFR for extenders. My lettering scheme is paths, but with C instead of Q, and for corners only, M instead of W. I know it's a bit odd, but it works for me. I memo corners first, then wings, review corners and wings, memo midges, review corners, wings, and midges once again in this order, memo placenters, review placenters, and finally memo extenders, ideally going through them as quickly as possible. Now, I'm not going to be too descriptive when it comes to the words and images I use for the letter pairs because a lot of them make sense only to me, so it wouldn't be very productive for me to say the letter pairs out loud without you guys knowing the context behind each image. So let's begin. So starting corner memo, I memo them in one locus. So starting from UFR, I have the buffer piece already in place, so I break it to BH, DO, KR, and then N. And this means I have parity plus a twist down here. So how I deal with parities and twists, I break into the place where the UD sticker is. In this case, I have NG, and finally U, the new corner parity target. Next, I memo wings in 3 loci. And because I have corner parity, I have to memo wings with UF and UR swapped. To remind myself of that, I cross my legs whenever I detect parity doing corner memo. So starting off from the buffer UFR, we have H, and this is my new B piece, so I'll have to shoot it here. So HB, DI, because this is my new I piece, EL, TG. For the next locus, we have N, and this is my new buffer, so I'll have to break into a new cycle, and I'll break here. And we have NC, PF, VR, C, and this finishes the new cycle, so I'll have to break into another new cycle. I'll break it here, so CK. For the third and last locus, we have JX, AW, US, OM, because this is my new M piece. And finally, we have K, which finishes the new cycle, and it finishes the entire wing memo. And this means also that I have wing parity. And at this point, I will review corners and wings once again. For midges, I use 2 loci. So starting from UF, in my first locus I have B, because this is my new B piece, B, D, P, and I hit my new buffer, so I'll break into a new cycle. So I'll break into A, PA, FR, XS. Then for my next locus, I have T, U, V, C, which finishes my new cycle. And at this point, I'm done with midge memo, so at this point I will review midges, and then review corners, wings, and midges once again, in this order. For plus centers, I use 3 loci, and I memo the targets in alphabetical order on their respective faces so that I can keep track of them more easily. So starting from UF, for my first locus, I have UE, IC, MA, FV. For my second locus, NJ, WO, HD, and RL. For my third and last locus, PX and T. And here we have our remaining target, so I'll have to shoot it to a random U-layer target. And so I'll just choose to shoot to A, so it becomes TA. And at this point I'll review plus centers once again. Finally we have X centers. I memo them last and execute them first. I memo the first 4 pairs with images, and the rest with audio in groups of 3. I try not to review them too much, but end up doing so anyways, and that's a habit I should definitely get rid of. So starting from the buffer UFR, for the first 4 pairs I have IM, FC, GB, and U. And for the remaining we have RJ, VS, KW, and finally PX, DT. And at this point, I'm done with the memo for the entire solve. And now we have execution. I execute extenders first. So for IM, I have an easy pure 8 mover like this. For FC, I do an R prime interchange and then I do a YDU insert like this. For GB, I have another 8 mover. For NU, I do a UYU into another 8 mover. For RJ, I do another 8 mover like this. For VS, I do a U prime setup into another 8 mover like this. For KW, I do a UX and then 8 mover. For OX, I do a D prime slide setup into another 8 mover. And finally for DT, I do a Y rotation and then I just insert the piece here. And now I execute plus standards. For UE, I do a Y prime rotation into an 8 mover like this. For IC, I do U and then another 8 mover. For MA, we have a pure 8 mover like this. For FV, I do a R slide setup like this into another 8 mover. For NJ, I have another pure 8 mover. For WO, I do a U M prime setup into another 8 mover. And for HD, I do another 8 mover like this. For RL, I do a X prime rotation and then another 8 mover. And for PX, I do an L prime setup like this and then 8 mover. And finally for TA, I do another Y prime rotation, Y rotation, and then I do the 8 mover like this. And at this point in the solve, I would execute whatever we call first. Usually it's corners. So for BH, I do an 8 mover like this. For DO, I do U prime and then 8 mover. For KR, I do an LY D prime setup into another column like this. For NG, I do this into an 8 mover. And I'm only left with the parity target, which I will execute at the end of the solve. Next, I execute wings. For HB, I do a Z prime and then 8 mover. For DI, I do an LU setup into this column. For EL, I do an F prime and then an 8 mover like this. For TG, I do a D and then an easy 8 mover. For NC, I do an easy pure 8 mover like this. For PF, I do an R prime and then Y, and then this column. For VR, I do a D setup and then 8 mover. For CK, I do a D and then I do this column. For JX, I do a D prime and then an 8 mover. For AW, I do this setup like this, and then I do an 8 mover. For US, I do an LY prime setup, LY setup, and then I do an 8 mover like this. For OM, I do an LY setup like this, and then I do an 8 mover here. And finally we have K, which is our parity target, our wing parity target that is. And I do this ALK. And finally we have midges. For BD, I do an M2 into a 5 mover like this. For PA, I do an R prime and then this 8 mover. For FR, I do a Z and then this 8 mover. For XS, I do a U and then this con. And for T, you will do a U prime, and then I do this 8 mover. And for VC, I do an easy pure 8 mover that goes like this. And finally, we have the corner parity target, and I execute it like this.
Hello, my native language is Chinese, and I used it as my letter pairs. In some cases, I will explain what it means in English. My 5x5 blind mode memo begins with plus center, and my buffer is UF. So this is 九桃. The meaning of 九桃 is stone. 蜂蜜. The meaning of 蜂蜜 is honey. 靠山马子. It's the last white piece, so I'll choose the other. 欺负玲珑野生宝岛阳春六 the rest. And then the wings. My buffer is UFL. So let's do this. 饲养生产老高土人酒楼猪毛口红野林. I need to choose one to break. Usually, I like BU better because it's easier to solve parity. But the BU have already been used, so I choose UB. 35宝岛麻绳. And there are 2 pieces left. FU to BL, or it's 番茄. The meaning of 番茄is tomato. And then the middle edge, my buffer is UF. 儿子荣皋 break. 山羊警察公路90猫. Then back to the corner. My corner buffer is also UFL. 小生花酒油. And I will memo these 2 pieces. 连招. Okay. Next is X center. It's similar to 4x4 blindfold, and it's the first execution. May. So my buffer is also UFL. 美国. The meaning of 美国 is American. 美国花梦. Sorry. 花莲早点 The meaning of 早点 is breakfast. 早点阴谋无名二舅鲁小法油生气. The meaning of 生气 is angry. Okay, and the execution. 插 center. 美国 0，好，早点，阴谋，无名，29，好，鲁小，法有生气 angry。Okay, and then solve the corner. 小声，花酒。好 ，and I have memorized these 2 pieces, so I do this to this. And do this to this. And then it will be UFL and UFR left for solving parity. Then solve the plus center. 九桃。蜂蜜，烤山，马子，七福，玲珑，野生，宝岛，阳春。And the list. And then the wings. 饲养，生产，老高，土人。I cannot slice this. 酒楼，猪毛，口红，叶灵。break 35，宝岛，麻绳，and the last 2 pieces. You plan L, you try do parity. U and the middle edge 儿子 告。山羊。警察。公路。90 and orientation these two pieces. Yes, it can cancel one move, so do parity.
皆さんこんにちは。今回はこのような機会をいただきありがとうございます。せっかくなのでゴブラのエグザンプルソルブ参加させていただきたいと思います。ちょっと英語が苦手なもので日本語で失礼いたします。では早速始めていきたいというふうに思います。まずは分析と記憶の順番です。私は一番最初にプラスセンターを分析記憶していき、次にコーナーを分析記憶します。この段階で、パリティがあるかどうかっていうのを判別します。次に、ウィングエッジを分析記憶して、もしコーナーにパリティがあった場合には、こことここ、交換分析をして、進めていきます。で、その後に、このミドルエッジですね。で、ミドルエッジもウィングエッジと同じように、コーナーにパリティがある場合は交換分析を行って分析記憶をしていきます。そして、最後、短期記憶ということで、この X センターをささっと覚えて、で、分析記憶を終わって実行に入るといった形になります。で、実行の順番なんですけども、最後に覚えたこの X センターから始めて、あとは、プラスセンター、コーナー、ウィングエッジ、ミドルエッジというように、X センターを除いては、記憶した順番通りに実行を進めていくようなスタイルをとっています。では、実際に始めていきたいというふうに思います。今回は、実行の順番で解いていきたいかなというふうに思います。まず X センターですね。X センターのバッファーは ULB なので、ここスタートになります。早速 U 面が埋まってるんですけども、ここになりますので、このようになります。次に、ここ。なので、続きまして、ここ。次に、ここになりますね。基本的には、U 面の色は飛ばさずに、そのまま全部の面、時計回りに回して、分析をしていくことになります。なので、全然途中に U 面のパーツが来るような形になっています。ここですね。で、ここ。もうちょっと X センターがありますね。ここ。ここですね。最後、一文字がここになるので、適当な有名なところと交換していきます。これで X センターが終わったので、次にプラスセンターに行きます。プラスセンターも X センターの時同様に、基本的に有名なパーツは飛ばしたりせずに、時計回りに、分析記憶していきます。ここ、 こですね。ここ。いう面は飛ばせません。最後一文字がここなので、適当なところに入れていきます。はい、でこれで全てセンターが揃いましたので、続いてコーナーに入ります。すいません。言い忘れたんですけど、プラスセンターのバッファは UL、ここをバッファにしてまして、コーナーは UFR です。なので、ここが埋まってるので、適当にこの辺から始めていきます。ここ。で、ここに CO があるので、CO は適当に処理していきます。はい。で、パリティが奇数文字だったので、パリティがあることが分かりました。なので、ウィングエッジとミドルエッジは交換分析をしていきます。では、まずウィングエッジに入ります。ここ。交換分析をしているので、これは、URB ですかね。ここのパーツになります。これも交換分析しているので、ここのパーツになりますね。ここで、ループが切れるので、適当にこの辺から始めます。ここから始めたのは、ここに最後ループが来ると、パリティ処理がしやすいからっていう理由でここにしてます。で、ここですね。で、ここでループまた消えちゃったので、ここです。ここで、ループが切れて、これが最後の一文字ですね。ここにセットアップをして、パリティ処理をしていきます。はい、で最後にミドルエッジ。これも交換分析しているので、ここっていうふうになります。ここ。ループが切れたので、適当なところから始めてます。ここ。で、パリティがあったので、最後 J パーも忘れずに回して、これで完成というふうになります。